how does one go about analyzing when the number of variables increase? There is no geometry available. Okay. What do we do about it? So, what we will do is try to convert these geometric pictures into algebra and then try to see whether we can extend that algebra for more number of variables. So, okay for everybody. So, let us analyze this method of variable elimination method. So, let us look at this example, simple examples, and then we will try to formalize this. So, the example is x plus 3y plus 5z is equal to 0, x plus 2y plus 3z is equal to 1, and the third equation is x minus 3 equal to 1. So, I have labeled these equations as E1, E2 and E3. So, the idea is try to eliminate. Already in the third equation, right, y is missing. So, let us try to eliminate the variable y from the other two equations also. Okay. So, that is the idea. So, what we do is we do these operations. Okay. So, here for example, what we have done is we have eliminated x from the equations. The first equation remains as it is. The second equation what we have done is E3 minus E1, and then operation is E2 minus E1. So, we have just taken a linear combinations of the equations. So, the solutions will not change. The idea is whenever you take a linear combination of any two or more of the equations, the solution does not change, but it results in a system which may have lesser number of variables. So, what we have done is we have eliminated the variable x and we have gotten x plus 3y, right. So, this system, and now from these two equations I can try to eliminate again one of the variables. So, let us do that. So, E3 minus 3 E2. So, that operation is done. So, I get a system of equations which is equivalent to the earlier one, because I have just taken linear combinations, not done nothing else, right. So, solution of the last system should be same as solution of the original system. So, that is the idea, but in the last system I get a equation 0 equal to minus 2, that means that is not possible, that is absurd, right. So, that means this system has got no solution, right. So, that is algebraically solving. So, this system has no solution. Let us look at this 2x1 minus, so this is a system, you can read that, okay, 3 equations, and we try to do the same, right, try to eliminate the variables, and I get this kind of a. So, 2x1 minus x2 plus 3x3, I have not written down the operations, that is simple, because 3 variables in 3 equations one can do that. So, that leads to this kind of a new system which has got all 3 variables present in the first equation. Okay. In the second one only 2 are there, and in the third one only 1 is there. So, this system is equivalent to the given system. So, solution of this should be same as the solution of the original one, and here I get x3 equal to 2, last equation. I put the value of x3 in the previous equation, I get the value of x2, and I put these two values in the first equation, I get the value of x1. So, I eliminate and then substitute. So, this method is called elimination and substitution method or backward substitution, and that gives me the solution of the system. So, this system has got a unique solution, right. Earlier one had no solution, this one has unique solution. And let us look at another one, this one. So, there is only one equation x1 plus x2 plus x3 equal to 6, that we know geometrically is a plane, right. How many points are there in the plane? Infinite number of them. So, this system, one equation in 3 variables will have infinite number of solutions possible. How I can write them? One possibility is you can write x1 equal to 6 minus x2 minus x3, right. So, that means what? x1 can be determined in terms of the values of x2 and x3, and x2 and x3 are free to choose any values, right. So, if I put different values for x2 and different value for x3, I get a different value for x1. So, for x2 and x3 can take infinite number of values. So, that means x1 also has infinite number of values, that means the system has got infinite number of solutions, which we are verifying algebraically. Geometrically it is a plane, we know it is an infinite number of solutions. So, three possibilities. I have given you three examples where the system had no solution, system had exactly one solution, and the system had infinite number of solutions. What is we observe in solving all these things? The solution of a system does not change whether it is two variables, two equations, one equation. Any two equations are interchanged, what will happen? If I interchange any two equations, right, instead of saying this is line 1 and this is line 2 in the plane, I am saying this is line 1 and this is line 2, I am just renaming them, right. The solution does not change if I change the order of the equations, right. An equation is multiplied by a non-zero scalar. If I take a line, right, and multiply it by a non-zero scalar everywhere on the left hand side as well as the right hand side, does the equation change? Equation remains the same, line remains the same, right. So, the solution does not change, right. So, why non-zero? Because if I multiply by 0, then all the information is lost, 0 equal to 0, there is nothing, equation is gone, right. So, multiplication by a non-zero scalar leaves the equation, so solutions are unchanged. And the third one is equation is added to another, that we have already seen, right. If one solution is there, right, and you add one equation to another scalar multiple of that, now of course not 0, right, then the solution does not change, right, that we saw in the two variable thing. We saw that if you add scalar multiple of one linear equation to another, the point of intersection does not change, only the inclination of the line changes, right. So, these three are basic operations that do not change the solution of a system of equations, right. So, that is one observation, and the other observation is that the variables really do not play any role in all the computations. X1 remains X1, X2 remains X2, X3 remains X3. It is only the constants which are in front of them or on the right side of the equality, right. They change when you do something with them, scalar multiple, add, do something, right. So, we can forget when we write, we can forget about these variables, only we should keep track that this is the coefficient of the first variable, this is the coefficient of the second variable, this is coefficient of the third, and so on, right. So, variable do not play any role. So, let us try to describe this in an abstract setting, these are observations. So, we will define formally an equation of the form Ax1 plus Ax2 plus dot 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 an xn equal to b1 is called a linear equation in n variables x1, x2. Number of variables is n, only one equation. Why it is called linear? Because the powers of all the variables is 1, that is why it is called a linear equation in n variables. So, give more than 1, so you can have a system of m equations in n variables. So, a system of m equations in n variables, we can write them as, right, to have a strategy or systematic way of writing. For the first equation, the coefficient a11, right, x1, a12. So, the first letter indicates the equation, second indicates the variable, right. And similarly, for the last one, mth equation am1, coefficient of the first variable, am2, coefficient of the second variable, on the right hand side bm. So, this is an abstract notation of writing m equations in n variables, right. And for computation purposes, we do not want x1, x2, xn coming into the picture, right, we do not want them. So, let us write. So, before that, let us just say a vector x1, s2, sn in Rn. Everybody is familiar with R1, R2, R3, Rn, n components, right. So, a vector we call it as, or a point s1, s2, sn in Rn is called a solution of the system. So, when we will say it is a solution, if I replace x1 by s1, x2 by s2, xn by sn in all the equations, then the left hand side is equal to the right hand side, right. So, that is called a solution. So, the idea is how do we solve such a system, that is what we want to analyze. So, to track the coefficients and the various operations on them, we represent this system. We do not want S1, we do not want x1, x2 and coming in picture. So, let us write that variables are x1, x2, xn, equality, and the right hand side something appears, right. Their coefficients are, for x1 coefficient is a11, right, for x2 in the first equation a12. So, what we have done, we have fixed the positions of the coefficients. When we go in a row, we will be representing the coefficients of that equation x1, x2, xn, and when we go vertically down, then we will be representing for the equation, first equation, second equation, third equation and so on. So, written this way, all the data about the system is captured. We have fixed the position of the variables, this is captured. So, this motivates, so a rectangular array of n equations in n variables. So, basically what we are saying is, to represent a system of linear equations, a rectangular array of numbers becomes important, right. So, we start defining, because this is going to come again and again, it motivates a definition in mathematics, namely a rectangular array of numbers, they could be real or complex. In fact, they could be more general, but we will be concerned only with constants which are real or complex. So, a rectangular array in which there are m rows, first row, second row, third row, m rows are there, and each row has got a n column, right. So, this is called a matrix, okay. This is called a matrix. Why matrix is important? You can ask. One, of course, the reason is because we are not going to bother about the variables x1 and x2, that is a real number system, right. The important thing is, when we do computations, you are not going to do it humanly, you are going to put it on a computer, all the computations, right, all multiplications, division, everything, and a computer or a machine cannot store variables, it can only store scalars, right. So, we can ask the machine to store the data in this format, right. Even machine will not know what is the row 1 or row 2 or row 3 or row 1 or right or number. So, what will do it? It will write all, if there is a rectangular array of m numbers in rectangular array m cross n, m rows and n columns, how many total numbers are there? M into n, right. So, the computer will store it as m into n numbers, but will put somewhere that this first n are for the first row, next n are for the second row and so on, right, for the computational purposes. So, the basic idea is matrices written this way capture the computational aspect of linear equations, okay. So, this is called a matrix of order m cross n. When m is equal to n, we call this as a square matrix, number of rows is equal to number of columns. So, if you are in the ith row and jth column, so that position is called the ijth term of the matrix or ijth entry of the matrix. So, we will start using this term. We got a matrix whose m rows, n columns, ijth entry is so and so, right. So, we will start using that language. So, sometimes in short you write this whole, if you are not really interested in numbers, but you are interested in the matrix as such as a quantity. So, you write as aij, where I and j vary according to the number of, I is the number of rows. So, m and j is the number of columns n. Okay. Sometimes this is important and useful also. If the matrix has got m rows and one column, so this is a column, right? In the matrix it looks like a vertical thing, so it is called a column vector, right? And similarly, if it is 1 cross n, then it is called a row vector. Okay. So, for example, this is a column vector and this is a row vector. Later we will also do one thing, that a n cross 1 column vector, there are n rows, okay, n cross 1, we also will identify sometimes as a point in R n. So, column vectors will also be identified as points in the corresponding R to the power, right. If it is a so, if it is a 1 cross n cross 1, n rows 1 column, then it will be identified as a point in R n. So, this kind of identification we will also do when we want to simplify things. Okay. So, we have defined a new quantity which involves numbers. So, what are the possibilities? What kind of operations we can do? See, this is very common in mathematics. You define a quantity, you collect all such quantities and try to do operations on these quantities. For example, you must have studied functions, right, real valued functions. Then you can think of real valued functions defined on an interval. You can add functions, you can multiply functions, you can scalar multiply a function, you can compose functions. So, in the class of all functions, you can do these various operations, you can add, you can subtract, you can scalar multiply, you can multiply functions, or you can compose functions. Similarly, we have got collection of matrices, right. So, what do we want to do? First of all, given two matrices of the same order, we say they are equal. So, we are defining equality of matrices. The order is same. So, natural thing to say when they are equal means what? Each entry should be equal. So, ijth entry of 1 should be equal to ijth entry of other, right. The corresponding entries must be equal. So, that is equality of matrices. You can also define addition. So, what will be addition? That is entry wise addition. So, given two matrices A and B, if A is Iaij, B is Bij, order is same m cross n. So, addition will be Aij plus Bij. So, ijth entry of the sum is the sum of the ijth entries of the corresponding matrices. So, multiplication of matrices, for example, here when you do A plus B is same as B plus A. A matrix A plus the matrix B is equal to B plus A, right. It is a nice property like numbers, right. A plus B plus C is same as A plus B plus C, associative property, commutative property, associative property, and so on. For example, you can take the matrix to be all entries as 0, then what is A plus? You can call that a 0 matrix. So, what is A plus the 0 matrix? That is again A. So, 0 acts like an identity. So, properties similar to that of number addition are appearing with this kind of addition, right. So, we would like to define some multiplication where some nice properties come up. Okay. Let us just look at one simple operation called the transpose of a matrix. Okay. So, what is the transpose of a matrix? If a matrix is m cross n, transpose is just interchange the rows with the columns. Whatever was the first row, make it the first column of another matrix. So, define a new matrix, first row from here becomes the first column, and similarly other are replaced. All the rows become columns and all columns naturally will become rows, right. So, if it was m cross n, what is the new matrix? N cross m, right, rows have been in. So, one can write the new matrix, if you want to write the rsth element, that is A SR, interchange the row with the column. So, that is the transpose. So, simple examples for this is the transpose. First row is 5 minus 8 1 4 0 0. So, that is so this row has become a column here, this row has become a column here. So, here are some simple observations. Transpose is a well defined matrix, right. we defined, we given the all the entries of. If A is m cross n, obviously A transpose is n cross m. And what is transpose of transpose? You are getting back the matrix. You interchange rows with columns, you again interchange, right, rows of that with columns, you will get back the matrix. So, A transpose transpose is equal to A, right. So, these are elementary properties of matrices. So, we looked at what is defined as the transpose. So, we will call a matrix to be symmetric if A is equal to A transpose, if the interchange of rows and columns does not change the matrix, right, and we will call it as anti-symmetric or normally called skew symmetric if it is minus of the A transpose. Does it put any condition on the matrix A? If I say a matrix A is symmetric, does it put any condition? Yes, because transpose will change rows to columns. So, if A was m cross n, transpose becomes n cross m, and if they have to be equal, that means m has to be equal to n, otherwise they are not equal from the equality of matrices. So, the concept of symmetric or skew symmetric matrices is defined only for square matrices. Okay. So, that is one. So, here is now the matrix multiplication. So, we have got two matrices AJK and another matrix is BKL. So, here observe, here is m cross n and B is n cross P. Okay. Then the product of these two matrices AB, right, is a new matrix, let us call it a C. So, how do I describe C? So, I have to tell you what are the entries of C, right. So, let us look at the entry CJL, okay, jth row, lth column. So, it is defined as you take AJK, you take BKL. So, when you take AJK, J is fixed, K is varying. So, what is happening? What is changing here in AJK when K varies? Jth row, kth column. So, you are taking the jth row entries of that, right. And what is BKL? L is fixed, K is varying. So, what is that? That is the lth column, right. So, multiply the two, add up, you get CJL. So, row of the first one, column of the second, the corresponding entries you multiply and add. That naturally puts the condition that the number of columns here should be same as number of rows in the other. That is why you have put m cross n and n cross p. The number of, right, the columns here is same as the number of rows there. So, m cross n. So, what will be the resulting matrix? The resulting matrix, this is summed up. So, CJL, J varies 1 to m, L varies from 1 to p. So, that gives you a matrix of the order is m cross n A, n cross p, that is the matrix B. This n, each entry is getting multiplied and added up, you will get m cross p order of the product, right. It looks a very artificial way of defining the multiplication, looks a very artificial way of defining multiplication, but later on we will see that this is the way it should be defined to have nice properties, right. We will link it with what are called linear transformations. Like in functions, you have got composition of functions. Later on, we will define what is called a linear transformation, and composition of linear transformations will correspond to matrix multiplications. So, we will tie up a bit later, okay. But at present you have to just remember that way, right. So, this is the matrix multiplication. Okay. So, for the matrix A, take the jth row, take the corresponding column, lth column, you are looking at JL. So, jth row, lth column, multiply. So, this multiplied by B1L plus so on, add up, you get CJL, the jth row, lth column entry for the product. One obvious way of saying that it is a nice property is that it is associative. A multiplied by B multiplied by C, A multiplied by B C is same as A B multiplied by C. This way defining a product has got a nice property, it is associative. Okay. It is not commutative, A into B need not be equal to B into A, right. One can give examples for that. So, if you want to define A B C, right, what should be A? The order of A B should match, number of rows here should match with number of columns there, the number of rows with B match should match with the number of columns. So, that is why you see the condition is put A is M cross N, B is N cross P and C is P cross Q. So, N this match here and P matches here. So, the resulting matrix will be of the order of M cross Q, right, that will be the order of the matrix. So, this is the property. This will not prove it, but you can try to write a proof yourself, right, and you can try to verify it for some simple examples. Product transpose is same as transpose inverted product, right. A B transpose is same as B transpose multiplied by A transpose. One reason that this should be so, because if you take A B and transpose, the rows are going to be interchanged with columns. So, similarly, if you have B transpose, already rows are interchanged with columns, rows are interchanged with columns. So, the remaining thing product will have rows and columns already matching. Okay. So, but try to verify it, try to write a proof of this if possible. Those of you who are very keen, take A